Yeah, International Women's Day. Was literally a month ago. But hey, let's celebrate regardless, by talking about female serial killers, as you so wished. Now get your snacks, buckle up, and take notes, ladies. Here we go. Elizabeth Bathory was a Hungarian noblewoman who married a wealthy count in 1575, and had multiple gossips refer to her as a vampire because of her bloodlust. Historical sources say that her husband built a torture chamber as a gift for his wife, where she indulged in, quote, jamming pins and needles under the fingernails of her servant girls and tying them down, smearing them with honey and leaving them to be attacked by bees and ants. I wonder if that was her birthday present. Oh, my beloved, I shall celebrate this joyful day by giving you whatever your heart desires. Yeah, so here's the deal. I need a bucket of honey, a bunch of bees and ants, some needles, and a secluded room deep in the castle's dungeon where people's screams would not reach the outside world, and send a few servant girls in while you're at it. Certainly. But my love, what might you be planning to do with Spa? Do we have a problem here, or should I make some arrangements? Soon enough, she moved from tormenting servant girls to taking the daughters of local nobles as her victims. And as you may have guessed, while servant girls were nobodies that no one cared for, it's a little more tricky to keep murdering noble women while staying completely incognito. Elizabeth's crimes were discovered in 1611, accounting for about 80 murders, and she was confined to a room in the castle where she was barely fed. She died after 3 years, in 1614. Leonarda Cianciulli was an Italian woman who ran a small shop in Correggio in the 1930s. Her marriage to a registry office clerk, Raphael Pansardi, was never approved of by her parents, as they planned to marry her off to someone else. Thus, Leonarda believed that her parents cursed both her and her husband. Yeah, we're walking back down the memory lane of the curse. She had gone through 17 pregnancies during her relationship, which resulted in 3 miscarriages and 10 deaths of her children in their youth. That made her extremely protective of her remaining 4 children. Her fears were fueled by a warning from a fortune teller sometime before her pregnancies. The fortune teller told Leonarda that she will be married and have children, but the babies would die young. To top it all off, she also visited a Romani who practiced palm reading, and this time received the following prophecy. Quote, in your right hand, I see prison. In your left, a criminal asylum. End quote. Do I sense some good old foreshadowing? In 1939, Leonarda's beloved oldest son, Giuseppe, was going to join the Italian army in preparation for the World War II. Cianciulli, wanting to protect her son, came to a conclusion that the only way to do so required human sacrifice. The one and only logical conclusion. But of course. Leonarda soon found her victims in 3 middle-aged women, her neighbors. All 3 victims were lured into Cianciulli's home, drugged and killed with an axe. Then their bodies were chopped into pieces and cooked, only to be made into pastries and soap. And in her testimony, she straight up made it sound like Grandma's favorite recipe.
I threw the pieces into a pot, added 7 kilos of caustic soda, which I had bought to make soap, and stirred the mixture until the pieces dissolved into a thick, dark mush that I poured into several buckets and emptied in a nearby septic tank. As for the blood in the basin, I waited until it had coagulated, dried it in the oven, ground it and mixed it in with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk and eggs, as well as a bit of margarine, kneading all the ingredients together. I made lots of crunchy tea cakes and served them to the ladies who came to visit, though Giuseppe and I also ate them.
Yours truly. Leonarda Cianciulli was arrested and charged for murder in 1946, after the last victim's sister grew suspicious and reported Leonarda to the police as the last person her missing sister had met before disappearing. After thorough investigation, Leonarda was found guilty of all 3 murders and sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a criminal asylum, where she died of cerebral apoplexy in 1970. Judy Buenoano, born Judias Welty, was a woman from Florida who was charged and convicted of 3 murders and an attempted 4th murder in 1984. First, Buenoano poisoned her first husband, a U.S. Air Force Sergeant James Goodyear, with arsenic in 1971. In 1973, she moved in with her new fiancé, Bobby Joe Morris, who then unexpectedly died in 1978, later revealed to have been caused by arsenic poisoning. In the following year, 1979, Judy's son, Michael, became severely ill with signs of paraplegia, which apparently is one of the symptoms of arsenic poisoning. Hint, hint. In May 1980, Buenoano took Michael out in a canoe, which in an unfortunate turn of events rolled over, causing Michael to be weighted down by his metal arm and leg braces, and in result, drowning. Wait, she ain't done yet! In 1983, Buenoano was involved in a relationship with John Gentry, whose car mysteriously exploded, leaving him severely injured. Whoever in the police department saw this woman's file and still wouldn't connect the dots. I hope you wake up to a bed full of spiders and step on 1,000 Legos as you flee. The motive behind her crimes appeared to be the insurance money, since she received around $240,000 for the deaths of her son, husband, and former partner. Judy Buenoano was the first woman in the state of Florida since 1848 to be sentenced to death in the electric chair. On a side note, okay, so you are probably wondering why Judy Welty became Judy Buenoano out of nowhere, right? Glad you asked. Here's the deal. Apparently she wanted it to be a Spanish version of, quote, Goodyear, but it turns out that the direct translation means good anus. I mean, no anus like a good anus. Holy shit, I can hear my sanity running away. The crimes of Nannie Doss, referred to as the Giggling Granny, the Lonely Hearts Killer, Lady Bluebird, or the Black Widow, put her in Alabama prison for the rest of her life in 1955. Doss was charged with the murder of her previous 4 husbands, the cause of death of her last husband determined to be arsenic poisoning. Nannie had met some of her partners through Lonely Hearts newspaper columns, only for them to die mysteriously within the first couple of years of marriage. Aside from her partners, Doss also confessed to killing her own mother, sister, grandson, and mother-in-law. The only one who possibly escaped death was Nannie's first husband, after 3 of their 5 children died young, and someone also tipped him off about not eating the food prepared by his wife. Hallelujah, anonymous tipper. Hallelujah. Nannie Doss was sentenced to life imprisonment and later died of leukemia in the hospital ward of Oklahoma State Penitentiary in 1965. The moral of these stories is, don't kill people? I don't know. Arsenic is too easy to obtain? Possibly. As always, thanks for watching. I am sorry that the videos are not coming out as frequently as I would wish, but so is life, and shit happens. If you want to support my work, I do have a Patreon, so you can check out my Patreon page, and I will try to release videos on Patreon 2 weeks ahead of YouTube, so you can look forward to that. I think it's a nice perk, but that's for you to decide. That's it. Stay safe out there. Until the next time.